Well, it's been a busy news day for Second Amendment advocates. That was New York Governor Kathy Hochul's response to the Supreme Court's 6-3 ruling in favor of gun owners when the justices struck down a New York law requiring what they call proper cause to carry a firearm outside of the home. That's not all, though. The 14 Republican senators you're seeing on your screen right now all have voted with Democrats to move on bipartisan gun legislation. It's likely to pass the Senate soon and move on to the House, where lawmakers are already pushing back. Lots to break down. Joining us now is the Chief Strategy Officer at the U.S. Concealed Carry Association, Mike Lowney. Mike, good to be with you. Let's start with the really good news of the day. Talk to me about what this Supreme Court ruling means and what precedent it sets for gun owners.
Sean, thanks for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk to you today. So first off, it's almost like a tale of two cities. So we're talking about a bipartisan gun bill on one side, and we're also talking about the Supreme Court ruling on the other. What I will say about the Supreme Court ruling on behalf of the U.S. Concealed Carry Association is essentially this affirms what we have known for over 200 years. This was a God-given right for us to be able to protect ourselves. And it's been absolutely shameful that folks in New York have had to live with this idea of proving the fact that they need to carry a firearm to protect themselves. This is a tremendous win for those in the firearms community because it sets a precedent for the handful of other states that actually have very similar laws, just like the state of New York.
So that means that was the key provision. The bottom line is, regardless of whether you're in New York or not, it matters for everyone else, right? So if you live in, D.C. or California, it matters for you too, correct?
Absolutely. This is one of those things where whether you're in California or you're in Rhode Island or any of these states, those folks have been living with the fact that they have to prove that they may need a reason to protect themselves. And I hate to tell you, but you don't know when threat's going to present itself. And that's why a Second Amendment was put in there for a reason, to make sure that people could actually do that. So essentially, and I hate to use the words common sense, because it seems as if that those words have been taken over by gun control advocates, when at the end of the day, this truly is common sense. Those individuals.
Okay, so let's move on to the Senate bill. I want to read the major provisions for folks in this bipartisan bill. It creates penalties for straw purchases and gun trafficking. It incentivizes states to implement red flag laws, mental health programs, and school security on top of increased background checks for gun buyers. Tell me, is there anything in there that you guys, A, support, and B, don't support?
I'll start with what we don't support. We don't support red flag laws because, quite honestly, you can't enforce the law before the law has been broken. So I appreciate the fact that Congress has been working together to finally get to the root cause of what the issue is, which is mental health. And so we do support the fact that the federal government is providing dollars and support for those living with mental health issues. But as it relates to the red flag laws, no, the U.S. Concealed Carry Association and the 660,000 members of the USCCA do not support that. So, okay, is there anything in there that you do support? Yeah, we do support getting funding for schools and getting funding for mental health. And I want to tell a little story. So I'm a father, and I think about having those conversations with my kids. I have a student in elementary school and a high school student. And I think what we've relied on too much in this country is we forgot about having those conversations at the dinner table. And what these kids see in school, we need to have conversations to say, hey, this is what happens. And this is what I mean by mental health is we forgot what it means to be a parent. And so the gun control advocates have immediately gone to the fact that guns are the problem. It's not the problem. And that's why I do say that the USCCA supports the fact that there is funding going to hardening schools and school security and getting funding out there for mental health. But beyond that, when it comes to red flag laws, no, we do not support that.
So let me I mentioned this in the previous block, like with respect to campaigning, right? I've been doing this almost 30 years, not that old yet. I started when I was 5. But when I started in politics, it would be unthinkable to see senators from states like South Carolina, Texas, Kentucky leading the charge on gun legislation. I've only got a minute left. But the question I have for you, do you think that the gun industry has lost some influence?
Not necessarily, because I'm going to take Senator Cornyn, for example. So Senator Cornyn, he authored one of the strongest bills that we are a huge advocate for, which is national concealed carry reciprocity. And I got to imagine that Senator Cornyn, this has been a tough road for him. And I'm not necessarily supporting the bill, but I do applaud the efforts that the senators are trying to find a common balance here. And that's where the mental health aspect is. Where I think they missed the mark is the red flag laws. And in the USCCA, we do support things like national concealed carry reciprocity, like Congressman Hudson on the House side and Senator Cornyn on the Senate. They have put those bills in place, and that's where I think Congress needs to focus.
And so just yes or no, have you talked to Senator Cornyn specifically based on what you were just saying?
On national concealed carry reciprocity, we've had a lot of conversations. As it relates to the bipartisan bill, no, we have not had conversation.
Okay. All right. Mike, I appreciate your insight. A lot more as we move through the House. Look forward to having you back.
Hey, thanks for having me.
All right.